Hey, Queens! Ever wondered which of the Disney princesses have really and truly lived up to their names? Well, stay tuned, because I am about to debunk each of their characters and place them into a tier list to determine the true queens amongst these icons, based on my own perceptions and opinions. Feel free to comment your own tier lists and who you think deserves to be at the top. First up is Miss Mulan. Where do I even start with this girl, y'all? She risked her life to save her father in knowing she could get killed not only from dying in the war, but if others discovered she was a woman in the army. She didn't care for social ideals and followed her instincts, which inevitably changed the course for women in China from that point onward. Additionally, in a lot of these princess movies, the storyline often revolves around a man, and although she did find someone in the movie, which is completely fine, lol, I'm not the love Grinch, I promise. It wasn't her initial intended purpose to attempt to attract this man. It happened because she's Mulan. Who wouldn't fall in love with her? And for that, Miss Girl has a spot at the top of the pyramid. Absolute icon. Next up, we have Merida. Merida is a fiery character with a rebellious spirit, which is seen throughout the movie Brave. Although as a result of their constant bickering, she mistakenly turned her mother into a bear, but she still stayed by her mother's side and risked her own image and life to save her mother. She is a mega feminist, which we love as she exceeds in male-dominated sports such as archery, and she refuses to marry any of the men that she was intended to. For a 16-year-old girl, not bad at all, because it is rare to have such a strong mind and boundaries by that age, especially whilst carrying external baggage and pressure that comes with being a princess. I'm gonna go ahead and place Merida right next to Mulan at the top of the pyramid. The bar is really high for the others, I won't lie. Princess and the Frog is one of my favorite Disney princess movies. I can't explain it, but it almost feels magical. Anyways, Tiana is a very career-driven woman and continues to pursue the dreams she had obtained since she was a kid. And I won't lie, that level of dedication is not an everyday thing. She was very family-oriented and made sure to make time for those she loved despite chasing this dream of hers. Also, because she was so focused on her goals, she never really considered the possibility of exploring a relationship until the opportunity arose miraculously. I am placing Tiana in the top middle tier category because I respect her independence, consistency, and resilience in regard to the pursuit of her own dreams. Also, I think she chose her prince very well. They are by far my favorite Disney couple. Moana is a more recent princess, however. She gave us a lot to work with. She risked her life to save her village, despite them talking her out of it. The ocean literally chose her of all people, so there is clearly something about her spirit that attracts nature, which is often associated with princesses. That girl faced Tafiti. Like what? I'm sorry, but I would have said nah, and just set up camp and try again the next day. LOL. Also, she did not utter a single word about no man the entire movie, and even when she met Maui, she kept it strictly business. Icon. And into the top tier, she goes, sorry, but I have a soft spot for rebels, LOL. Snow flipping white. Okay, the girl is low-key a victim though, let's start with that. She is literally minding her business, and because someone has an opinion, which is subjective by the way, that she is the prettiest in town, she gets poisoned. That is actually tragic. People are scary. Also, not to sound shallow or anything, but as a kid, having gone through the whole stranger danger lecture 1,000 times, are you seriously eating an apple from this lady? And it is the only red one in the batch? Nah, that is hella suspicious. Also, after she eats the apple, she is basically just a piece of furniture for the rest of the movie, so you and your apple can go in the low-middle tier. I understand it is not her fault at all, although she could have maybe just taken the apple and say she will eat it later. She is just 14 years old, so I won't be too harsh, LMAO. Also, I just did not see enough of her to have a strong opinion. Cinderella is arguably the luckiest princess on the list. She started off with a difficult upbringing after her father died and was basically forced to be the live-in maid by her stepmother and was tortured by her stepsisters. And then on a random Wednesday, a fairy godmother randomly drops in and says, "Girl, you gotta get out of the house." I have my own personal conspiracy that she left that glass slipper at the ball on purpose, in hopes that this man liked her enough to come and save her from her current situation without revealing who she really was in the moment. Otherwise, he may not have bothered, but by leaving a lasting good impression, he is more likely to fall deeper in love with her regardless of who she really is the more time he spends looking for her. Think about it though. If the shoe was a perfect fit, then how did it fall off? Definitely calculated, but I respect the quick thinking. Cinderella can join Snow White in the low-middle tier category, solely based on the fact that she is also a victim and has not really been able to have much say in her story, which is quite sad. But I respect her quick thinking and taking the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity from Fairy Godmother and utilizing it to her advantage, which eventually paid off. Next up is Pocahontas. First of all, can we acknowledge how stunning she is, like Slay Queen? But falling for a colonizer? That did not slay. Not only did she fall for him, but people died because she was so infatuated by him, and they were trying to protect her. I understand you cannot help who you fall in love with. But when lives are involved, you gotta screw that head on immediately. Although these obstacles did arise, I guess the fling with the colonizer paid off because each side cared about each of them and were willing to put their weapons down. Because of this, unfortunately, I am going to put you in the bottom tier. I understand she brought peace in the end, but at what cost? And did she know that was going to happen? What if more lives had been lost? Would she have been ready to choose her family or just continue to put them at risk? Okay, I just did some research on the history of the real Pocahontas, and all I can say is I knew that Disney movie did not make any sense. Ariel, you risked your father's life for a man. You risked your entire species for a man, and you sold your soul for a man. I understand she is 16 and is in that rebellious state of mind, but look at your age mates. Mulan and Merida are rebelling to save people, and you could have potentially caused a war, babe. I don't even know LMAO. She's lucky it worked, but again, she didn't know it would. So it is low-key selfish of her to risk so many people for the sake of fulfilling her own fantasies. Bottom tier for you, honey. Next up, we have Aurora. This girl is just a straight-up victim. She got cursed by generational ops, and it also happened whilst doing something ordinary, sewing. So it is not like she would have suspected it. And again, she was just there for decoration because she was not active for half of the film. Because I don't have much to go on, I will put her in the low-middle tier. The plot to Rapunzel's story is one of the most intriguing. After having been kidnapped for almost 18 years due to her healing powers, which makes her another victim, she started to clock onto Mother Gothel and her motives. And lucky for her, Flynn showed up, which was her ticket out of there, and was smart enough to negotiate with him. She was assertive and did not initially like Flynn in a romantic way, but later caught feelings after the two shared her first journey outside together, which is fair. Repunzel, your spot is next to Tiana in the top middle tier. With Repunzel, I feel we actually got to see her character outside of her situation, for instance when she escaped. She was actively making decisions, which helps gauge a sense of character, which I personally liked. One thing I love about Princess Jasmine is that she is assertive. She knew she did not want to get an arranged marriage, and that opinion did not change despite the pressure to fulfill this so-called duty as princess. I will add, I respect that her father did not force her. They felt like more gentle reminders than anything, and him trying to fulfill his role as king. But he always respected her enough to not force things too far. W, father. She is humble due to the fact that she did not care if Aladdin had money or his background, despite him thinking otherwise, and also she has a pet tiger. It's giving baddie. But yeah, she is just a chill and well-rounded individual, which I can respect. Jasmine is for sure top middle tier. Next, Belle. I absolutely love Belle. The way she always defended her father from the people in the village whenever they called him insane. She even risked her own well-being by trading places with her father, and was imprisoned in his place. She was well-educated because it felt like I saw her with books more than I saw her without them in the movie. I love this because she is breaking the cycle in her society which places value in women who just simply look the part and have nothing else to offer. Lastly, she was not shallow. I don't mean to sound shallow myself, but I would have been terrified of the beast, and not from initially looking at him, though. More so because his voice can be heard from the other side of town, and when he runs and gets angry, I'm sorry, but I was low-key terrified. You would think it was a thriller, not a romance, LMAO. Top middle tier for you, Queen. Elsa. I feel bad for her truly because she did not ask for the powers or to be locked away. I understand her parents were trying to protect her, and they were probably right in doing so, but it is visible that all of it has had a lasting effect. For instance, the constant anxiety that she will hurt somebody, which I think was amplified after the incident with Anna, which again was not anybody's fault. It's just unfortunate that she had to learn to deal with it all by herself, as nobody else in the immediate family had possessed these powers, so solitude has kind of always been an element for her. Despite this, she learned to control it. As she said, let it go, right? And embraced her power regardless of people's judgment, enabling her to gain enough confidence to reverse the initial damage she had done to Arendelle as a result of her prior anxiety. Personally, I think developing a sense of strength and self-worth whilst feeling like the world is against you, returning to the environment that hurt you, and finally facing your demons definitely deserves appreciation, and for that, Elsa is going in the top-tier category. Anna is quite the character, LMAO. I won't lie, the first thing that pops into my mind is how quickly she wanted to marry Hans. LOL, that was quite the tragedy. But I will excuse it on this occasion because she was only still gullible due to her lack of life experience, as she was often trapped indoors with nobody to talk to. I love how she started off a little bit boy-obsessed, but towards the end of the movie, she learned that real love does not always have to come from a man. Also, I think that is when she started to see Elsa's perspective on the whole shutting her out situation, as she realized she was only doing it out of love, and was the only person her entire life to deeply love and care about her, even if it was from a distance. Top middle tier for you, honey. We love a queen who is constantly evolving and learning. So, this is the final verdict. It appears that I value strong-mindedness, independence, goal orientation, and loyalty, which the princesses in both the top and top middle tiers possess. Meanwhile, the low middle tier represents those who I think are victims and did not really have much say in the way their story turned out, or were not present long enough to create a valuable narrative. The bottom tier category, I think, just represents immense chaos and tragedy, which happened as a result of poor decisions which were self-motivated. But despite this, I think all the princesses bring a lot to the table and deserve to have their shine. This is just a dissection of the events in each of their movies. Let me know your favorite Disney princesses and why they are your number one. That's all for this video, queens. Thanks for watching.